So this is a little bit of a bitch and a little bit of a celebration, but I am both bitching about the way that Martin Luther King Jr.'s legacy is bastardized by the right and liberals combined. I'm sure we've all seen the anti-maskers wearing MLK Jr. shirts and be like, "Is it my time? Am I oppressed now?" Like that. They're so excited. They think they're oppressed when we're actually doing everything to prevent them from dying. And obviously that's ridiculous. And we're going to get to that a little bit later when a certain new governor has used MLK Jr.'s name in vain and his legacy in vain. But I'm also mad at liberals because liberals all the time love to talk about MLK Jr. Oh, just the heroism, amazing. Let's build statues. Let's make, museums. And yet, we can't even get basic voting rights enshrined and protected after, by the way, the entire Voting Rights Act was gutted. Remember that whole thing? Yeah, like the thing that MLK Jr. and the civil rights movement fought for, that just completely hollowed out. It's basically, it's mostly tumbleweed at this point in time. So I'm bitching about that. And I'm also bitching about the way that liberals misunderstand how radical MLK Jr. was. He really was. A year before his death, he fully called out. He was like really big on canceling the Vietnam War, but he really did. He was openly adamant that the Vietnam War was wrong. It was amoral, and also that things like capitalism were also immoral. So he called out capitalist exploitation, the ways, warmongering, and the U.S. empire said those words, specifically U.S. empire, and also kind of stuck it deliberately to liberals themselves who conveniently forget, and moderates, right? Conveniently forget all the times that he was like, you guys are the ones who are kind of fucking me here. So this was from his letter from Birmingham jail, which obviously a very famous letter, where he writes, "I must confess that over the past few years, I've been gravely disappointed with the white moderate. I have almost reached the regrettable conclusion that the Negro's great stumbling block in his stride towards freedom is not the white citizens' counselor or the KKK, but the white moderate who is more devoted to order than to justice, who prefers a negative peace, which is the absence of attention to positive peace, which is the presence of justice, who constantly says, I agree with you in the goal you seek, but I cannot agree with your methods of direct action, who paternalistically believes that he can set the timetable for another man's freedom, who lives by a mythical concept of time, and who constantly advises the Negro to, quote, wait for a more convenient season. Shallow understanding from people of goodwill is more frustrating than the absolute misunderstanding from people of ill will. Lukewarm acceptance is much more bewildering than outright rejection. Lukewarm acceptance is much more bewildering than outright rejection." That is from his 1963 letter from Birmingham jail. There you have it. I think we got a few lukewarmies in Congress these days who are going to be talking a big game when it comes to MLK's birthday and this week and what it means. But I want to follow that up with this concept of time. I think Stanford University put this out and created this really nice graphic about, again, kind of the ways that in these moments, in these pivotal moments, we sort of believe that, like, things get better generally, maybe, progress. And they don't actually. So here he is talking about that concept of time.
I think that is an answer to that myth, and it is that time is neutral. It can be used either constructively or destructively. And I'm absolutely convinced that the forces of ill will in our nation, the extreme rightists in our nation, have often used time much more effectively than the forces of goodwill. And it may well be that we will have to repent in this generation, not merely for the vitriolic words of the bad people and the violent actions of the bad people, but for the appalling silence and indifference of the good people who sit around and say, wait on time. Somewhere we must come to see that social progress never rolls in on the wheels of inevitability. It comes through the tireless efforts and the persistent work of dedicated individuals, and without this hard work, time itself becomes an ally of the primitive forces of social stagnation. And so we must help time, and we must realize that the time is always right to do right.
We must help time. I really, 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 really like that. And look, we're in a moment where the right has absolutely, as MLK just said, they've made very good use of their time. It's very easy when your goal is just fascist corporate authoritarianism. Like it's tight. You're just like, oh, hell yeah, I know exactly how to do that. Forging some sort of, multiracial, anti-racist democracy is different. And it does take a lot of work. And we have to continue that work. I hear whispers that Biden may run some executive orders when it comes to the criminal justice system. I sure as shit hope so, because we have not seen his ability to convince those lukewarm centrists who may or may not be himself. I would argue that he also is one of those sort of comfortable moderates who tells people to wait, right? That's what he ran on. We'll see. Let's hope he takes some of these lessons to heart. What's going on, Frantifa? If you haven't already, subscribe to this channel right now. Hit that button. And also, you can become a patron and support the show every single week. Get access to bonus episodes and exclusive merchandise. Patreon.com/Bitchuation Room. Do it.